I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. This week on Wednesday, there was a hearing in Delaware in the Dominion defamation case against Fox, and some shocking testimony was revealed during the hearing. Specifically, we learned that during the deposition of Sean Hannity that was previously taken in the action, the lawyers for Dominion told the judge that Sean Hannity said, quote, "I did not believe it for 1 second," referring to Sidney Powell and others in Trump's inner circle who were perpetuating the big lie. In essence, what Sean Hannity had admitted to in his deposition, that notwithstanding the fact that he knew the big lie to be a big lie, Fox nonetheless platformed this disinformation. And this bombshell revelation follows some others. For example, we've previously reported here on the MeidasTouch Network that Suzanne Scott, the CEO of Fox, had previously written, and this was obtained by Dominion, that she did not want the, quote, crazies to get anywhere near the coverage that Fox was platforming. Nonetheless, not only did they end up deciding to give the crazies an inch, but they gave the crazies the entire network, and Fox became the central disinformation hub for spreading the big lie. At this hearing that took place this week as well, we learned about additional deposition testimony of Tucker Carlson, of Mead Cooper, who oversees the primetime programming lineup at Fox. Specifically, the lawyers for Dominion stated that Tucker Carlson also had admitted that he was aware that all of this disinformation that they were platforming was a lie. One of the things the Dominion lawyer described Tucker Carlson as being was, quote, squirmy and trying to avoid going there, but the Dominion, in their cross-examination of Tucker, and in addition through other messages that they had of Tucker, were able to demonstrate that Tucker himself knew that he was platforming lies. And at one point during this court hearing, the lawyers for Dominion were about to read the text message from Tucker Carlson in the open courtroom, but because there is a protective order, meaning that these documents currently, before they go to trial, are all being shared, what's called under seal, or all being shared confidentially. The judge did not allow the text message to be read, but we can infer it's a text message between Tucker Carlson and a third party, admitting that he knew that Fox was platforming complete bogus disinformation. As I mentioned, Mead Cooper as well, who oversees primetime programming, was also cited by the lawyers for Dominion as someone who was aware that people like Sidney Powell and Mike Lindell and all these other people who were being platformed on Fox were spreading lies, were completely and utterly making stuff up and spreading conspiracies to try to undermine the free and fair election and try to obstruct the transfer of power, the peaceful transfer of power, which occurred in every election before, except this one, where MAGA Republicans led an insurrection against the United States government and tried to block the peaceful transition of power to President Biden. What we also learned from this hearing between Dominion and Fox in Delaware Court this week is the fact that there was actually an effort made by Fox, because Fox was essentially acting, we've talked about this before, was essentially acting as the public relations arm for the White House and essentially directing activities of the White House. There was an effort made by Fox to actually intervene and to try to stop Donald Trump from listening to Sidney Powell and trying to stop Donald Trump from platforming people like Sidney Powell and Mike Lindell and other purveyors of the big lie. However, that overture was rejected. Not only was it rejected, you would think that the responsible thing at Fox then would have been to say, you know what, we're taking a principled stand and we're not going to let these people come on our network. Instead, they let these people on their network, and when the people would spread their conspiracies, People like Hannity would say, well, why do you think the Democratic establishment is trying to cover this up? Or why do you think that the deep state is trying to silence you from explaining these very serious things? And now what Fox's defense is, look, we were just asking questions. We were just highlighting a perspective and an important point of view. We weren't actually the ones saying it, which is not even true because their hosts were indeed saying. You go to listen to stuff that like Janine Pirro said. They were absolutely spreading the big light. Look at what Tucker said and what Hannity said. We were just asking questions. We just wanted to know, could this have been the case? That just goes to show you again how utterly cowardly they are. But it goes to the broader point that is at issue in this trial. And the broader issue is malice. And because Dominion is a public figure or a limited public figure for purposes of this lawsuit, under the New York Times v. Sullivan standard, a public figure has to show that the defendant acted with actual malice. And the actual malice standard means either it was done intentionally or it was done with a reckless disregard for the truth. Now, previously, Fox tried to get this case dismissed that Dominion filed in Delaware State Court, the lawsuit seeking over $1 billion in damages. And I could see a $2, $3, $4, $5 billion damage award actually happening against Fox here, in addition to punitive damages, because the damages that Fox caused Dominion are real, are serious, are substantial. So Dominion got past the motion to dismiss stage, and now trial's approaching. Trial is set for April. And what Dominion has to show is that Fox, again, acted with actual malice when these defamatory statements were made, intentional or reckless disregard for the truth. And when you see and you hear Hannity saying things like, I did not believe the statements that were being made on my program for 1 second, you combine that with what Hannity said, what Mead Cooper said, what Suzanne Scott said, that we didn't want to give these people an inch. However, they ended up giving these people their network. It goes to the intent. They were aware of what was taking place. This was not mere negligence. It rises to the Times v. Sullivan actual malice standard. Now, this hearing that was taking place in the middle of this past week was really to address two issues. And the issues to address was Smartmatic, which also has a defamation lawsuit against Fox. They wanted to get their hands on all of the records that Dominion obtained during Dominion's discovery so far, rather than have to propound those same requests again, because Dominion already has this body of evidence, so why not just turn over the evidence? However, the Delaware judge basically said, look, different cases, different discovery. I'm not just going to allow discovery in one case to be transferred to the other. Quite frankly, I don't really agree with the judge's decision there, because it's not like Smartmatic is not going to get the same records. So why are we wasting time here by blocking the same records they're going to get? It only furthers the obstruction. It doesn't seem to streamline issues when this would streamline issues. Obviously, if there's proprietary information regarding Dominion that Smartmatic shouldn't see, then Smartmatic shouldn't get their hands on that. But that's not what Dominion was arguing. It was Fox who was arguing not to turn over the documents in Dominion. And there is nothing that's going to be in one case that likely isn't going to be relevant in the other, because Fox was saying the same basic things about Dominion and Smartmatic. Different conspiracies, but essentially that the algorithms were overturning the results and a Trump vote would go for a Biden vote. That was the absurd conspiracy that they were spreading. And then there were tangents of that conspiracy. Oh, it was the Hugo Chavez inserted algorithm, and then the paper recounts would also be fallacious because of the bamboo in China was then shipped. But then these satellite dishes from Italy were controlled by a secret CIA depot in Italy. And then that would trigger the algorithms to, that's what the right wing, that's what Republicans were saying. That's what Republicans were platforming. That's what Fox was platforming. That's what Newsmax was platforming. That's what OAN was platforming. That's what all this right-wing media was platforming, those defamatory lies. So that was one issue. Could Smartmatic get it? And the court ruled no. The other issue was whether a lot of these documents could be made public now that were obtained by Dominion and Discovery. And Dominion said, these documents should not be under seal. They should not be confidential. We should be allowed to make this public. Fox argued these are business proprietary records. They should be kept confidential for now. And the court ruled that they should be kept confidential for now. I, again, disagree with the court's ruling there. But remember, we're in a Delaware court. Delaware is very business friendly. And the precedent that exists in Delaware, while the underlying law regarding defamation and procedure and the jury selection process, while all of that aspect is favorable to Dominion, which is why Dominion decided to file in Delaware versus other potential forums like New York. Recall that Delaware, though, is very business friendly. And so when it comes to corporate records and turning over emails before the trial, the court was more inclined, as it ruled here, to keep the emails confidential for now. Ultimately, when this case goes to trial in April, if it does not settle, then Dominion and Fox will have to make these documents public since there will be a public trial. The judge so far did make a good ruling denying the motion to dismiss over the summer. But I do disagree with these rulings by the judge here. I think that there is an importance for the public to see these emails and text messages and records now. These types of emails and text messages don't reflect corporate secrets or anything proprietary or anything that I think should be confidential. It's not like a trade secret. The fact that you have reporters on emails talking about the fact that they don't believe the information that they are platforming while they are platforming it publicly, to me, would seem to have no basis to keep that confidential, where the party like Dominion is saying make it public. So I disagree with the judge's ruling there. I disagree with the judge's ruling regarding not turning over the documents to Smartmatic. In that hearing, though, when they were talking about these issues, these are the issues that were being discussed. These were on the agenda for the court hearing. And when the court was asking questions about the type of documents and the type of depositions and the type of evidence that's come out, that's where the parties started talking about these things. So that's how we know about Hannity and Tucker and Mead Cooper and the efforts to intervene at the White House to stop Sidney Powell and other items like that. So we'll keep you informed here. Before you know it, there's going to be that trial in April. It is an existential threat to Fox. I hope that Dominion doesn't settle it. I hope Dominion takes this to trial. I hope Dominion seeks billions and billions of dollars, as they have asserted in the complaint. I hope they ask that jury to bankrupt Fox for their defamatory conduct. We will see, and we will keep you posted. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit the subscribe button. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers, thanks to your support. Also, will you please check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We have lots of exclusive content you could only get at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. But most importantly, help grow this independent media platform. We're not funded by any outside investors at all. We're 100% independent, 100% accountable to you and to you alone. If you can, no matter where you are in the world, become a member of our Patreon. It goes a long way. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas.
MeidasTouch is unapologetically pro-democracy. And look, we know you are too. So please make sure you check out our best-selling shirt and our best-selling gear, the unapologetically pro-democracy gear. And hey, while you're at it, make sure you check out my favorite shirt and one of our most famous designs. It wasn't rigged, you're just a loser. At store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.